This video is sponsored by Magbak. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Max, and as you just saw, I recently got the opportunity to test drive the Tesla Cybertruck for the first time. Just a few weeks ago, Tesla opened up Cybertruck demo drives at select showroom locations, and I got the opportunity to be one of the first people to take advantage of this at one of the showrooms that was just an hour away from me. So I wanted to review that experience with you all today, as well as go over my overall thoughts on the Cybertruck after actually getting behind the wheel. But before we do, here's a quick word from our sponsor today. I'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsor, Magbak. If you're familiar with my channel, you know I did a video some time ago reviewing their MagSafe charger for my Tesla Model 3, and after a few months of use, I can truly say that it's an awesome, high-quality product that I would recommend to anyone who's driving a Tesla. It's much better and faster than the built-in factory charging pads, matching your car's interior perfectly, and adding to the already modern and minimalistic design. Magbak not only offers chargers for EVs, but also sell high-quality cases, wallets, they sell key fobs, and even protective rim cases to keep your air covers from getting damaged. And their product line isn't just limited to Tesla, they sell chargers and accessories that are compatible with a ton of different vehicles and tech, so it's definitely worth checking out their site to see all that they have to offer. All of their products are of the highest of quality and will complement your car's aesthetic perfectly. And right now, if you use my discount code on their site, you get an additional 15% off your entire order, so it's never been a better time to try out their products. Doing so does support this channel, but I really can't say enough about how much I personally endorse Magbak as a company and the products they provide. If you're looking for the best in MagSafe technology, look no further than Magbak. So when we arrived at our showroom location, we immediately saw a ton of Cybertrucks pulling in and out of the lot. I was informed when I got there that this is the first week that they had started doing demo drives. No surprise to anyone, this was extremely popular, and they were booked from opening to closing with people taking one of these trucks out. They actually also had a Cybertruck parked in the showroom itself that you could take a look at, which was awesome since you get such limited time in the demo drive. Having access to that in the showroom actually gave me the chance to get a ton of different looks that I wouldn't have otherwise and really explore the interior and exterior of the truck and not just experience the drive. As far as the demo drive itself, it was a bit different than my past experiences in demo driving a Tesla. Typically, Tesla has given me the car for half an hour and just handed me the key and let me go out by myself. In this situation, the demo drive was only 15 minutes and the rep actually rode along shotgun with me, talking about all the different features and where to go. Not necessarily super surprising given the fact that I was driving around a $100,000 car in this situation, and it's also a brand new process. Hopefully when these become less rare and a little bit more affordable, Tesla will go back to the model where they actually let you take out the car by yourself and really get the feel for it in the comfort of your own space. Either way, it was still an unreal experience to finally get behind the wheel of one of these things, and here are my overall thoughts. First of all, the drive experience is like nothing I have had before. The Cybertruck somehow has this feel of being massive while also handling just like my Model 3. Plenty of people have already talked about this, but I have to think this comes to the steer-by-wire controls and how nimble they make your movement. The rep did have me set on high suspension during my ride, and let me tell you that that does make you feel so much taller than everyone around you. Also, the Squircle steering wheel was a little bit different than I expected. I've driven with a yoke before, and that has a much wider feel than Squircle. The Squircle actually felt smaller in my hands, which is honestly kind of nice. And I definitely think it was a major improvement for them to add that top bar to the steering wheel so you have something to grab onto, especially when you're making sharper turns. That was a definite improvement over the overall yoke design, and I think it looked and felt great. Of course, similar to my Highland test drive, I did have to get used to the swipe controls for changing gears, and also the turn signals being buttons on the steering wheel versus stalks that I'm flicking. The turn signal did throw me off a couple times, but by the end of the test drive, it became second nature to click those buttons, so I really don't think that's a big deal and anything that anyone should worry about if they're thinking about adopting this vehicle. It is worth mentioning that the sound system was incredible, significantly improved on what I'm used to in my Model 3, which already has a great sound system. And the infotainment UI itself, it's nothing new if you're used to driving a Tesla, same features, same great software. So that was great to see that this carried over for the Cybertruck and its updated design. Overall, I did love the feel of this drive. It didn't feel too big to handle, which I was a little bit worried about. I drive an SUV and have driven very large, full-size vehicles before, and there are times where they do feel like a lot to handle. And as big as the Cybertruck looks, it did not feel that way behind the wheel. Even with Cybertrucks all over this area and becoming very common where I took this car out, the thing still drew eyes wherever we went. Hopefully with the production really ramping up here, we are approaching the tail end of that type of attention. But yeah, it really is just as bad as you heard about from first adopters. So I got the best look at the Cybertruck with the time I spent checking out the parked one within the showroom. And let me just say that if you have been around one of these in person, it does feel huge to behold as you walk around it and interact with it for the first time. And while I knew I was dealing with a stainless steel exoskeleton, I was still surprised on what that felt like to wield. The doors feel significantly heavier and more solid than any other door on a car that I've used. And they honestly feel like they could do some damage if your hand ever got caught in them. Also, everything you've heard about fingerprinting is definitely true. This one definitely has the rough end of that, being in a showroom with hundreds of people touching it on any given day, but you can see how obvious these fingerprints were in the shot that I'm showing. And if my car looked like this, I would constantly be cleaning it up every single day because it'd be such a pet peeve to have those type of smudges all over the vehicle's doors. I do have to mention at least once how ridiculously large that windshield is and how ridiculously large the associated windshield wiper is. Really a spectacle and something that doesn't really compare to any other car that I have ever seen or been in. As for the truck bed, it looked huge to me. I personally never owned a truck, but this would definitely give me the needed space for all the things that we lug around when we go on family vacations or on trips with 2 young kids, which is awesome because for me, this car would be replacing our family travel vehicle. And I do really like the built-in tonneau cover and the way it functions. I think that'll be great for keeping your things protected and out of the elements. I also think it adds a really nice look when it's closed up, and obviously it's better for aerodynamics, so you'll get much more mileage out of the car with your tonneau cover closed versus open. Really seeing this space for the first time and thinking about what I could do with it made me the most excited for potentially having one of these vehicles in the future to take my family on road trips. The front was an interesting design and definitely could be useful for some additional storage or tailgating. I did struggle a bit with pressing the button that's built into the front. That totally could have been user error, but I definitely found myself fumbling with that. So if you were ever carrying something and needed to put it in the front and your hands were full, don't expect to be able to access that easily. Definitely open that up before you pick up whatever you have that you're putting in there. I also did notice some panel gap misalignment when I was walking around the car, particularly around the front. This is somewhat common with Tesla, especially with such an early production model. But I did think it was interesting that they chose to display one that didn't have perfect alignment to prospective buyers. I will say, standing back, it looked perfect. It's just when you take a little bit closer of an inspection, you'll see that it is not quite perfect. Overall, the exterior look is something that I have come to enjoy. I think it's almost an acquired taste, but it is definitely the most controversial aspect of purchasing this truck. So for the interior, let's start with the standouts here. The massive windshield and glassed roof is actually incredible and truly makes the interior feel larger than life. I've heard a lot of complaints that the way that the glass tapers off towards the front creates this weird illusion of space where you're not sure where the front of the car is. I didn't experience that at all, and I thought it was a really cool look and a really nice way to make the cabin feel bigger than it actually is. But the cabin is still incredibly large. It has plenty of space both in the front and in the back to fit very tall passengers, as well as loading the back seat up with car seats so you can carry around your toddlers. And these seats in back flip up too, so if you want extra space and no one's sitting back there, you can flip those up and have plenty of room. And as with all electric vehicles, since it's just a battery underneath, there's no hump in the middle of the seat, so you do have a ton of storage when you flip that seat up. There is also plenty of storage in the front as well. That large space in front of your middle console is perfect for something like a backpack, a purse, or a laptop bag. And I did find the white accent leather along the interior a really nice look for this specific car. Of course, in back, there was also a rear entertainment display, which Tesla has been including with their latest vehicles. This is an awesome addition for people traveling with a family. And finally, all the seats have that classic comfy Tesla feel that I've come accustomed to in my own Model 3. But other than that, it really just feels like another minimalistic Tesla design. My wife pointed out that while she liked the interior, she didn't necessarily feel that it was premium enough to warrant the $80,000 price tag, and definitely not for the current $100,000 price tag. And I honestly see her point. Don't get me wrong, the interior is very nice and what I've come to expect from Tesla, but for a car that sells for around 100 grand, it doesn't necessarily have that luxury feel or all the different features that you would expect if you bought a similar price car elsewhere. And I also do have to point out the design flaw in the tonneau cover covering the glass in the back when you have it up, effectively making the rear view mirror useless when you have it closed. Tesla really should have made that mirror digital or have a digital option within that mirror so it's still useful for driving. Although I will say, when I'm driving my Model 3, I often use my rearview mirror in that car to monitor my children and pull up the camera on the screen to monitor traffic behind me instead of using that mirror. So for anyone who does that already, it's not a change whatsoever. And for people that are nervous about doing that, it's something that you get used to very quickly, especially if you're used to keeping track of kids in the car anyways. All in all, I was very impressed with my first hands-on experience with the Cybertruck. The look and feel was great, not just in terms of comfort, but the actual drive experience. I thought that was all awesome, and I'm really excited for the prospect of this being my next family vehicle. I would say the biggest drawback right now is simply that the actual exterior look of the car is so polarizing. Whether you like it or not, this thing gets a ton of attention, and it's not a lot of gray area attention. Typically people love it or they hate it. And if you're not someone who wants that kind of attention, both from people you know and from strangers on the street, then this might not be the car for you, because for the foreseeable future, that is still going to be an aspect of ownership. But if you do love it and you can handle the attention and simply don't care what other people think, then don't let it stop you. The thing is awesome, and I think it can do a lot for a ton of different use cases. I personally still plan on getting one of these, but just not at the foundation price. I was actually invited to order a foundation series about 3 months ago, and after driving one of these things, as much as it makes me really want to have one of these trucks in my garage, it doesn't to the point of coughing up an extra $20,000. And that's $20,000 before you even take into account the federal tax credit. So if you qualify to get that other $7,500, there's really a $27,500 difference between what you would pay for an all-wheel drive when they become standard and what you're paying right now with foundation. And I'm sorry, but the software, the included perks, the etched badging, that isn't worth almost $30,000 to me. Now, if you're someone that wants to be an early adopter and be the first one on your block with one of these things and have the money to do this, then by all means, go ahead and buy one. Just know that you are paying that premium more so to have one of these now versus actually getting any kind of tangible benefit in features or accessories. But if that doesn't apply to you, I say be patient. Based on the fact they're not offering foundation series to anyone who goes to order one of these trucks, probably means that we're approaching the end of that series and can expect a standard one close to the end of the year or early next year. And at the showroom that I went to, the rep that I worked with actually told me that they were getting in 25 Cybertrucks a week for delivery. This means that Tesla's actually hitting the ramp that they've been advertising, and even if you are late to the party with a reservation, the timeline to get these vehicles is bound to get shorter, and they will also become more and more common, which will work out the kinks in the production line that we've seen this year, and also get a lot more people used to seeing them on the street, so it's not such a spectacle when you go to drive yours around. So yeah, while I won't be buying a foundation series today, I definitely plan on buying a standard all-wheel drive when they become available. We'll just have to see if that's a year from now or 3 years from now. But yeah, that's all I had to talk about today. I am curious to hear about what you all think of the Cybertruck, and if you plan on demo driving one yourself, please let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, if you did like this content and you want to see more, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to see more. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time.